Everything you want, you can have instantaneously. Everything you want, instant gratification. Except job satisfaction and strength of relationships, there ain't no app for that. They are slow, meandering, uncomfortable, messy processes. And so I keep meeting these wonderful, fantastic, idealistic, hardworking, smart kids. They've just graduated school. They're in their entry-level job. And I sit down with them and I go, how's it going? They go, I think I'm gonna quit. I'm like, why? They're like, I'm not making an impact. I'm like, you've been here 8 months. You know? It's as if they're standing at the foot of a mountain and they have this abstract concept called impact that they want to have in the world, which is the summit. What they don't see is the mountain. I don't care if you go up the mountain quickly or slowly, but there's still a mountain. And so what this young generation needs to learn is patience. That some things that really, really matter, like love, or job fulfillment, joy, love of life, self-confidence, a skill set, any of these things, all of these things take time. Sometimes you can expedite pieces of it, but the overall journey is arduous and long and difficult. And if you don't ask for help and learn that skill set, you will fall off the mountain.
I'd had like $106 in the bank, and like I said, I had to sell my dog, and things were not looking very, very good. My $40 car had just blown up, so I was taking a bus to work. I had no film history, no real film knowledge. I was just working from, I guess, instinct. And I knew this was like the moment of truth. And they said, Sylvester, you ready? I said, no, but Rocky is. Because so often I had gone to fight films or sporting films. Yes, we're going to go out there, we're going to knock him out, you're going to win. I said, no, because I'm not going to win. I'm going to get destroyed. But if I can just be lucid, if I can still be standing on my feet, you know what? Then life isn't so bad. And I think, again, symbolically, at the very end of our lives, if we can still say, you know, we were never humbled, we were knocked down, but we got up, and I can say, I lived life with integrity, and I took all the blows, and I still prevailed, I think that's a good epitaph for anyone, and that's what I tried to capture in this film. But more importantly, you can't be alone. To really succeed, no man really is an island. When you find the right components in your life, the right people that gel with you, then you feel as though you're invincible.
When my brother and I were starting our first company, instead of getting an apartment, we just rented a small office and we slept on the couch. And we showered at the YMCA. And we're so hot up, we had just one computer. So the website was up during the day, and I was coding at night. 7 days a week, all the time. And I mean, if you do simple math, say like, okay, if somebody else is working 50 hours and you're working 100, you'll get twice as much done in the course of a year as the other company. Rather than reasoning by analogy, you boil things down to the most fundamental truths you can imagine, and you reason up from there. And this is a good way to figure out if something really makes sense or if it's just what everybody else is doing. Now is the time to take risk. I would encourage you to take risks now. Do something bold. You won't regret it. Thank you.
In times of suffering, what we do is we forget how hard we really are. Because that's what suffering is. Suffering is a test. That's all it is. Suffering is the true test of life. The beauty is remembering this young, dumb, what people call nigger, is now where I'm at today. And that is, when you finally get to that point for me, it's forever lasting peace. Greatness isn't running 200 miles at a time or doing 4,000 pull-ups or being a SEAL. Greatness is whatever the hell you dreamed of in your own mind. You gotta first see it. You gotta first create this vision in your mind. And then that's when I come into play. Once you create this vision in your mind, it's how am I gonna get there now? We are all great. No matter if you think you're dumb, no matter if you think you're fat, no matter if you are fat, no matter if you've been bullied, or no matter if you just got back from Iraq or Afghanistan, and you have no legs or your arms or whatever, man, we all have greatness. You gotta find the courage. You gotta find the courage to put your Bose headphones on and silence the noise out of this world and to find it.
Looking at me, people were pointing their finger at me and laughing. I was born this way, and no doctor knows why I was born this way. My parents don't know why I was born this way. Lady Gaga don't know why I was born this way. And in my life, you know, seeing everyone with arms and legs, my brother and sister have arms and legs, you know, I never imagined that I'd be happy. But we gotta understand that brokenness is brokenness, but hope is hope. You know, some people say, well, all you need is just to be positive. Well, it's easy for you to say. That's what I'm thinking. You know, people that have arms and legs, well, it's easy for you. And I just want you to know, though, that there is something I've come here to prepare a message for you, to let you know that there is hope beyond what you see. When in life, we have things in life that come and we try to figure out, well, who am I and what am I doing? And what's my purpose? Is there any purpose at all to my life in the end? And I stand before you without arms and legs, telling you right now that I am absolutely not disabled. There is something greater than the disabilities around you or the limitations around you. There is hope.
I am particularly proud and happy about the young filmmakers, actors, singers, writers, producers that are coming up behind my generation. In particular, Barry Jenkins. Young people understand this young man made 10, 15, 20 short films before he got the opportunity to make Moonlight. So never give up. Without commitment, you'll never start. But more importantly, without consistency, you'll never finish. It's not easy. If it was easy, there'd be no Kerry Washington. If it was easy, there'd be no Taraji Henson, P. Henson. If it were easy, there'd be no Octavia Spencer. But not only that, if it were easy, there'd be no Viola Davis. If it were easy, there'd be no Michael T. Williamson, no Stephen McKinley Henderson, no Russell Hornsby. If it were easy, there'd be no Denzel Washington. So keep working, keep striving, never give up, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. So keep moving, keep growing, keep learning. See you at work.
I didn't know who I was. How could I, and how could any of us? Because for the first 25 years of our lives, we are trained to listen to voices that are not our own. Parents and professors fill our heads with wisdom and information, and then employers and mentors take their place and explain how this world really works. And usually these voices of authority make sense, but sometimes doubt starts to creep into our heads and into our hearts, and even when we think that's not quite how I see the world, it's kind of easier just to nod in agreement and go along, and for a while I let that going along define my character, because I was repressing my own point of view, because like in that Nilsson song, everybody was talking at me so I couldn't hear the echoes of my mind. And at first, the internal voice I needed to listen to was hardly audible, and it was hardly noticeable, kind of like me in high school. But then I started paying more attention, and my intuition kicked in. And I want to be clear that your intuition is different from your conscience. They work in tandem, but here's the distinction. Your conscience shouts, here's what you should do, while your intuition whispers, here's what you could do. Listen to that voice that tells you what you could do. Nothing will define your character more than that.
You know, we have so many things in our lives to distract. You know, movies and television and iPads and phones and texts and Twitter and Facebook and lots of things that allow us to create relationships that are distant. And sometimes it's really important to just stop and look at the person in front of you and look at the situation in front of you and say to yourself, what would this look like if I was standing outside of this situation and looking at it from a different perspective? Or what if I was in their shoes and that was happening to me? How would that look to me? Maybe that wouldn't look so cool anymore. Maybe if I saw this on film later and someone showed this to me, I would feel embarrassed about having stood in that room and said nothing and done nothing. That's where we have to get. We have to get to a place where people no longer have to ask those questions of regret.
You know, I think all of us need to be on guard against arrogance, which knocks at the door whenever you're successful.
Have you lived through that?
Oh, sure. Oh, sure.
Now, by that, correct me if I'm wrong, you had an incredible high with the initial success of Apple. And then other competitors get in and it's sobering.
Well, as you may know, I was basically fired from Apple when I was 30. And was invited to come back 12 years later. So that was difficult when it happened, but maybe the best thing that ever happened to me. There wouldn't be a Pixar if that hadn't happened. And so, you know, you move on, life goes on, and you learn from it. I thought at that moment, what a circle of life. You know, life is just always mysterious and surprising, and you never know what's around the next corner.
If money causes war, then money can also stop war. Yeah. And the greatest cause of war is actually poverty. And so that's why I work to teach people how to take care of themselves, because poverty is spreading throughout the world. It's spreading, you know. And when there's poverty, then there's discontent, and then there's war. I was always flunking out of school because I can't write. My parents, who were I'm fourth generation Japanese American to Hawaii, and the Japanese, you know, believed you had to go to school, get good grades. And so when I said, well, how do I be rich? He said, well, I go to school. And I said, wait a minute. All of my uncles and my aunts and my grandfather and my father and my mother, they all went to school. They're still poor. So I knew there was something missing in school. You see, the difference between a school teacher and an entrepreneur. In school, they punish you for making mistakes. Yeah. Entrepreneurs know you're not going to learn anything unless you make a mistake. So I've made so many mistakes. I mean, last year I made a lot of mistakes. But each mistake I make, I get smarter. It's like standing up and falling down, standing up and falling down. It's like learning a language. You make a lot of mistakes. It's like riding a bicycle. It's like flying a plane. You make a lot of mistakes. And hopefully you live through it.